This is Nintendo, and you're watching Chris, the old-ass retro gamer! Yeah!
Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome to... Hang on, I'll put the chat back on. Welcome to the fourth and final Sega Dreamcast edition of my Video Game Collection 2023 live streams. Chris, the old-ass retro gamer here. Yep, this is the end of these, the Sega Dreamcast collection, the complete collection. It took me 8 years to finish, and I thought it would take me 2. Anyway, so before I get started, let's just explain why I do these live streams. Is your anus ready? Is it ready? Your anus? So for one, it's good content for the channel, keeps it alive. 2, it's good to have a visual record of everything in my collection just in case something happens. 3, I get to talk to awesome people while I do it. And 4, that is fun. This is fun. Talking video games is fun, even when I step on my own words and stutter randomly because I don't have a stutter, but I randomly stutter for some reason. Maybe then I do stutter. I don't know. The brain works faster than the mouth. Anyway, so let's get into it. To 8. From 8 to 2. Yeah, come on. Do it. Come on. Anyway, so here we go. Starting off with, so this is, I have 4 on my shelving unit where I have my Dreamcast stuff. I have 4 shelves. I've been doing each episode as one shelf. Last shelf, starting off with Street Fighter 3 Double Impact. As much as I love fighting games and I love Street Fighter, Peter, what's up? Get to the chopper, come on. We must get to the games. Come on. As much as I love Street Fighter, I have not spent a whole lot of time with Street Fighter 3. It followed the same kind of formula or format that Capcom was doing, where you had like Street Fighter 2, then you had Street Fighter 2 Turbo, then you had Super Street Fighter 2, then Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, then Super Ultra Mega Deluxe Street Fighter 2 Turbo Enhanced kind of crap, you know? But when it came to the Street Fighter 3, it was Street Fighter, then Street Fighter 3 Double Impact, then Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And then it stopped because from what I understand, Street Fighter 3 was not a hit, like at all. Compared to the second game, like I rarely ever saw a Street Fighter 3 arcade coin-op. There was one at the Nickel arcade that I used to go to that was kind of close to where I used to live. No one ever played it. When I was there, I think I played it maybe twice. And I was just like, all right. You know, Alpha kind of went through some stuff. You know, I remember seeing like maybe an Alpha cabinet somewhere, but like until Street Fighter 4, like Street Fighter was kind of dead. they did those 3D ones. What was it, EX and all that? And it was like, I don't know. But Street Fighter 3 never got any attention as far as I remember. So when it came to the Dreamcast, I was like, maybe this will be the place to do it. The only problem was never owned them back in the day until got back into collecting. So I remember I got this and the Third Strike version together on eBay. I think it was when I got my bonus from work a few years back, maybe 2016 or something like that, that I used it to buy these because these were going for quite a bit of money back then. And I got them in a lot from some dude that was cleaning out his collection on eBay. And I played the Third Strike a bit because this one was able to be played on VGA, but this one was not. So I have not tried this one, but I have played Third Strike, and it is pretty fun. It is, your typical 2D fighting game, and of course, because it's Capcom, the animation is absolutely fantastic. Controls, everything about it was cool. But fact remains, I still think I like Street Fighter 2 more than 3. Like, for me, it feels kind of like Alpha, Part 2, or Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha 1, Part 2, or something. It just didn't really click like it should have. But maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to try them out again. Maybe I need to start with Double Impact. But was Street Fighter 3 ever put out onto a home console? That's the question, the OG. Because we only got two in part 3, part 2, and part 3, part 3. But where's part 3, part 1? Gotta have the vanilla before I can get into the chocolate and the strawberry. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, moving on. Speaking of Street Fighter, they also released the original Street Fighter not the original. Street Fighter Alpha 3. The brain. I have Street Fighter Alpha 1 and 2 on the Saturn, and it's only fitting that I have it on those consoles because Alpha 3 on the Dreamcast. And this one I do enjoy quite a bit. I played a lot of Alpha 1 and 2 on the PlayStation back in the day, and 3 is pretty cool. And this one I remember playing before. Yeah, this one was able to be played on VGA. But it is basically, it's the prequel. It's the third part of the prequel to Street Fighter, the whole franchise, kind of. In Japan, this was Street Fighter Zero. I don't know why they didn't call it that here, but they decided to call it Alpha. Confused everybody for a little while, as far as I remember. At least in my friends, it did. People were kind of like, well, where does this fit in the timeline? It's a prequel, bro. But it's pretty cool. I like it. I like it more than Street Fighter 3. Yeah, never saw it. I saw it, but nobody I ever saw playing it, except I tried it, like I said, maybe twice. And I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, it's Street Fighter, whatever. Next up, we got to have the stupid, shitty sports games, and we got Striker Pro 2000, Soccer game, Soccer, suck. I don't give a crap. I have not played it. I don't even care if the disc is scratched to hell. This is probably never... Actually, it looks really nice. This is never going to get put in my Dreamcast. So, yeah. Third Strike is a masterpiece, though. Peak Capcom Advance before they went back for casuals. I need to spend more time with it. Still haven't played this one. I got this one pretty late in collecting. This was one of the, I guess, better games that I still had to get into the collection before I completed it. But doesn't say much because I still haven't tried it out. Probably should have to make sure it worked. But we have Stupid Invaders, the epic adventure of 5 incredibly stupid aliens. Couldn't tell you what it was about because I have not tried it. But it looks like you have multiple characters to play as. You can see them in those little circles that are around the description. And if it was bright in here and my eyes didn't suck, I could read some of this. I think it says, explore over 120 bizarre locations in astounding 3D settings, the abandoned house, the dung factory, and Dr. Solarian's Area 52. Looks like a 3D platformer, but it's on 2 discs, which is interesting. I was just looking at this, and I was like, huh. Yeah, disc 1 and disc 2. Must be a big game. It's by Ubisoft, so who knows? Maybe it was the next Rayman that flew under the radar and nobody played it. I don't know. This I have played at great length. I talked about this in one of the shorts that I did. It was aftermarket Sega Genesis games you must own. And we're talking Sturmwind. So I think it was Radical Reggie told me about this. I got this off of Play Asia. And that was when I started to realize that all these aftermarket games that were coming out for the Dreamcast the majority of them were shmups. Probably because it's really easy to program them. You don't have to worry about 3D and anything like that. It's just, 2D, up or down. Up or sideways. It's not hard. So I picked this one up. And holy shit, when I started playing it, I was like, am I playing this on the PS4? Excuse me, I got the hic. One sip of iced tea, and I got the hiccups. FML, man. FML. I was playing this on my Dreamcast, and I was like, am I playing a PS4 game? Because that's exactly what it looked like. It was so detailed and high res and so well made that it just blew my mind a little bit. It is absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of the greatest shmups I think I've ever played. So I highly recommend that if you have a Dreamcast and you're looking for something new to play, pick up a copy of Sturmwind if you can find it. Like I said, I got it off of Play Asia. Don't know if it's available anywhere else, but I highly recommend it. It is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. Suck a game. Locked an appealing roster of Street Fighter 2, though. This game. Oh, look, it's pretty. It is pretty cool. It's true. Helped program a 2-player shooter battle game in college and took us one day to get it to work. See, like I said, it must be the easiest thing to program because that's all they were for a while. This one I hear is pretty good. I remember popping this in to play it, but this is one of the first games I got for my Dreamcast when I got back into collecting. I need to replace this jewel case, by the way. But that was a long time ago. So I haven't played this since probably 2014. And that is Super Magnetic Neo. It's a 3D platformer. I think it might be a collectathon. Use Neo's magnetic powers to capture metallic enemies, catapult off platforms, and rocket through the air. Jump, run, and swing your way across multiple levels and fantastic colored worlds. Uncover the secrets of Pow Pow Park by throwing switches, knocking. Yeah, it's a 3D platformer. Yeah, I remember thinking it was okay, but I remember also it was one of those games I remember people were talking about on YouTube at the time. So this is probably 2013 when I first heard about it, and I thought because people were talking about it, that meant that it was going to be one of those expensive games, and it was not. I think I paid, if I remember correctly, I must have paid probably like $20 for something like this. But it looks kind of cool. I need to put more time into it, but backlog. Never seen Neo. This one I remember hearing about because it was kind of being touted as kind of like a San Francisco Rush type of game, but it's a Super Runabout San Francisco edition. It's by Interplay, and back then Interplay was still putting out some pretty decent stuff. But yeah, it's a racing game, but it does look a little bit like very arcadey San Francisco Rush style game. And this is another one that I got way back. Don't recall what it was like, but I think it was kind of like playing, not Crazy Taxi, but kind of playing like San Francisco Rush, but can't really say. White knuckle it through the streets of San Francisco in Super Runabout, the ultimate go-anywhere driving game. Drive anywhere you want, through parks, buildings, garages, and more. Just don't let silly things like traffic laws get in the way of a little fun. Aww. Next up, we had to have this for the collection. This is one of those Crave joints that I keep on saying. They were really hit or miss, mostly miss. And that is Surf Rocket Racers. Trying to be like Wave Race 64 and all that, but if I remember correctly, this was not that great. I mean, you can look at the pictures. The Nintendo 64, jet ski racing games look better than this. This just looks really sad. Sad, sad, sad. Makes me want to cry. There's another one that I have not played for reasons, even though this does honestly on the back look kind of cool and kind of arcadey. I might want to try this one out at some point. It's Ubisoft. Maybe it'll be decent. Suzuki Alstare Extreme Racing. I don't know what the hell an Alstare is. I'll stare at you all night. Creeper! Anyway, I mean, if you look at the pictures up there, it doesn't look too bad. It actually looks kind of arcadey, so maybe I should try this one out. It might be kind of rad. It might be a hidden gem. But this is the land of the racing games. So next up we have... See, I had this one back in the day. I had no idea it was based off of like an anime or a manga or something. I was just kind of like, the name got me. And I remember seeing pictures of it in some magazine. It's probably EGM or something, where I was like, that looks kind of rad. And I got it, and I didn't really... Like, it didn't click with me. Like, I thought it was cool, but I played it for like 2 or maybe 3 days, and I was just like, yeah, like, I'm not feeling it. So I kind of just set it aside, and I never went back to it. But Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming got this. I think it was on his Backlog Roulette for the Super Enabler Brothers show that I do with him. And he said it was pretty awesome, even though I guess it's kind of short. But we're talking Sword of the Berserk, Guts Rage. This property has actually taken off in the past few years. I know that, Church has watched the anime or something, and I know it's pretty popular now. Back then, I had no clue. But I remember seeing the pictures of your character with this gigantic freaking sword just taking out people like you would not, like taking out 4 or 5 guys at once with one swipe. And I was like, I need that game in my life. And then I got it, and it was kind of slow. I remember like constantly, like every time I would try to swing, if I was near a wall, ping, like it would just stop your swing completely. It just like stopped the flow. I mean, it just bugged me the way that it worked. I was like, if you're going to have this game where you've got this gigantic sword and it takes a lot of room to swing, why would you design it so you're like in cramped spaces and you can't do anything? And then you've also got this little like fairy character that talks shit to you while you're playing. And I remember being kind of annoying and all that, and you're looking for this. There's this girl that doesn't talk that you find. She's like mute or something. I need to play it again, but he was saying that it was pretty rad, so I need to give it another shot. Now, there's another game in this series. I think it's for the PS4. I need to give it a shot. What's up, Adrian? Sorry, Doom Mama. Doom Mama in the house. Ooh. Everyone wants to be Wave Race 64. The fairy is Leonardo voice. Oh, jeez. I just remember him being kind of annoying. There's another POS that I had to have in order to fill out the collection. I'm never going to play it, even though it's by Idis, and they were pretty cool. They did that one too, didn't they? Yeah, they did Sword of the Berserk, but it's Sydney 2000. There you go, Retro Coop, Sydney. Yeah, Olympics game. I could give a crap. It's a sports game. I will probably never, ever play it in my life, even though it does look like it has a nice mix of events. You got sprinting, hurdles, hammer, javelin, triple jump, high jump, freestyle swimming, platform diving. How often do you see platform diving in these types of games? Never, really, as far as I can think of. Slalom. Oh, Kawasaki slalom. So I was going to say, like, that's a winter sport. Super heavyweight weightlifting, Olympic sprint cycling, and skeet shooting. I mean, maybe I will give this one a shot just because it has a decent mix of events. Who knows? It could be okay. But I wouldn't get my hopes up. Dum bum bum bum. Mortal Kombat. Yeah, it's my favorite thing in the world. Probably going to see some of the Mortal Kombat people this weekend, too. The artist died without finishing the story. Oh, of Berserk? That sucks. Yeah, I remember, like I said, I keep on saying, like, I hadn't heard of it back when it first came out, but, like, within the last, like, 4 or 5 years, I just hear it way more than I thought I ever would. Like, all of a sudden, people are talking about Berserk, sort of Berserk. And I guess the manga got popular in the U.S. or something. I don't know, but I'm happy. I mean, if it's awesome, it's awesome. Maybe I'll check it out. I mean, I'm always looking for something new to watch or new to read, so we'll see. Could be a hidden gem. How dare you, Peter? How dare you get to go to MGC. Man, it's going to be awesome. We got so much cool shit planned. Woo! Woo! I'm going tomorrow in the morning. I'm going to get to Milwaukee by noon. I'm going to go and game hunt, and I'm probably not going to buy a damn thing because I'm saving it for the con. And I have no plan for what I'm going to be looking for at the con. I should probably put something together. I think there's maybe like 2 PlayStation 3 games I'm looking for. I'll talk about it at the end of the video. How about that? No more wasting time because I got an awesome game here to talk about. And I got another Capcom banger. I think it was Retro Midwest Gaming Classic Nintendo, the convention, the video game convention I'm going to this weekend. Gotta get used to it. That's what I'm saying. Like, it just completely turned me off when I was playing sort of the Berserk back in the day. But I need to give it another shot. I mean, my tastes have changed. You know, I'm willing to, you know, give a game more of a chance now than I was back then. But I think it was Retro Coop brought this up in a stream, maybe last stream, the stream before, whatever. But we're talking Tech Romancer. So I know this was an arcade game. I've never seen a cabinet of this ever. And I used to go to arcades a lot, guys and gals. I have not seen a cabinet of this in my life. So when this came out for the Dreamcast, it just went off my radar. Like, I had no interest in it. I didn't know what it was. So I just never bothered. So when I got back into collecting, this ended up being one of the more expensive games that I had to get. Luckily, I have connections. So I brought him up a lot in these streams. Felix the Brett, who's from Ohio. He has a game store and a flea market. Constantly getting stuff. When he knows what consoles I collect for. And if he finds some decent stuff, he usually contacts me and he'll be like, hey, before I bring these to the store, would you be interested in, you know, whatever these things are that I found? And when I was still collecting for the Dreamcast, I remember I was at work. I was sitting at my desk, putzing around on my computer, and I got a message on Facebook, and he was like, hey, I got this. Are you interested? And it was Tech Romancer. And I was like, oh, yes, that's one of those games I need. What do you want? What do you like? What do you want for it? And he actually threw me a pretty decent price. And it was way less than I thought I would ever have to pay for this. But he's my guy. He's my bro. I got the hookup. So it's a one-on-one fighting game, but it's all about gigantic effing mechs. And it will blow your goddamn mind. I mean, another fighting game from Capcom, it's like, can they do anything else, I'm sure, is going through your brain? No, but when you're constantly pumping out awesome one-on-one fighting games, I mean, like, I am willing to give them a shot now. And this is just absolutely fantastic. I absolutely loved it. It blew my mind and it kind of made me pissed off that I never bought it back in the day, because I'm sure back then I would have been like telling every one of my friends about it. You got to play this goddamn game. It's amazing. Never bought it. Just completely off my radar. Didn't give a shit. I wish I did have it. I'm glad I have it now. That is one of my top tier Dreamcast games. Megazord type thing. Never saw an arcade cap. Maybe it came out in bigger quantities overseas, you know, but in the US, like I said, I used to go to arcades all the time. There's the Nickel arcade that I used to go to. That was by my house. There was the one in the mall. And then there was the GameWorks that was like maybe like 4 or 5 towns away. Never. And they had Japanese arcade cabinets at the GameWorks. Never saw that. Never. Oh, boy. Well, this one's kind of cutesy and arcadey, so it's not like sports. It's like casual sports, so maybe I'll give this one a shot in the future if I feel up to it. We're talking Tee Off. Yay, look at that generic-ass cover. Yippee yahoo. But it's a golf game, but it's like, to me, like you look at the back here, it looks like, what's that PlayStation golf franchise they have? Everybody's Golf or something. I can't remember what the U.S. Everybody's Golf is what's called in Japan. Over here, it's called something else. But just, yeah, it looks kind of cutesy and casual. So I like a good golf game every once in a while. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Everyone tells me that Tiger Woods for the or there you go. Peter's here. What is the Tiger Woods game that you guys like obsess over at Mo Game Con? You're a huge fighter guy and you love mechs. There you go, Pete or Nintendo. There you go. Hot Shots Golf. There you go. Hot Shots Golf. That's what it reminds me of. See, there you go, Nintendo. Next, I've just enabled you. Go get it. Surprisingly, this one is pretty fun. It's another sports game, but I have played the arcade version of the first game in this series. This is the second. You guys played it all night. Both nights. I was so sick of it. I was like, I'm going downstairs and I'm going to go and play my Retro Freak because I'm like, there's only so much golf I can take. Don't get me wrong, it looked fun and all, but Tiger Woods 2007, I need to pick up a copy of that. We're talking Tennis 2K2. Look at the Serena and wow, what's her other sister's name? I can never. There's always I know Serena. God damn, I cannot remember her name now, and it's not on here. Damn it. But whatever. I used to play Sega Tennis at the arcade at that GameWorks that I talked about all the time. They had it right next to the bar, and I thought it was kind of cool that they had like that right next to like the Silent Scope arcade cabinet. And I used to go between the two. Like I'd go and play some tennis for a while, then I'd go and play Super Scope, then I'd head into the bar and get a drink with my friends. But it's a very arcadey tennis game, and it's actually pretty fun. This one is the better of the two. The one that I'm talking about, it's coming up at Virtual Tennis. It's coming up soon, but this one is actually not too bad. It is very fun. Graphics are better improved, more characters, actual like real licensed characters. I mean, you got the Williams sisters here. But yeah, everything about it is pretty great. And that's a rare thing you hear me praising a sports game. Venus and Venus. I can never remember Venus. I know Serena. I know Venus. My brain. This is a piece of shit. All these computer ported driving games in this Test Drive series. We got Test Drive 6. How many more of these do I got? Should I get them all done in one shot? So many freaking Test Drive games for this console, and they all suck. I remember when I was getting these, I would try them out when I would get them to make sure they worked, and they just are not fun. I don't know what it is. They're slow, they're clunky, they're ugly. There's Test Drive 6, and this one I haven't even played. It's still sealed. Test Drive Le Mans. That's more of a F1 racing kind of thing, and I could give 2 squirts. And then we have Test Drive V Rally. This is the one that I thought I should have liked because I liked Sega Rally 2 so much. I was talking about that one on last stream. And this one is probably the best of the 3, but it's still not that great. It's still not that great, guys. I just don't understand. Just because you can port something doesn't mean you should port something. Goat tennis games. Goat. Lamaze. The breathing exercises. Yes. Zuff, wuff, whiff, wuff, push, push. Sorry, Bill Cosby himself. I used to watch it all the time as a kid. Before I knew that he was a creeper. Anyway, here's a cool aftermarket game that had kind of a weird thing happen while not too long after I got it in the mail. So I pre-ordered this because Adam Koralik, who's another Chicago YouTube gamer, was talking about this in one of his videos. He got sent a free copy of it to talk about on his channel to advertise it. So I thought it looked and sounded kind of interesting. So I pre-ordered it. And we are talking The Texorcist, the story of Ray Bibis, or Bibia, Ray Bibia. And for pre-ordering it, you got this really cool slipcase. It's plastic. And the game comes in a 2-disc wide case, one of these double disc cases. And it comes with the game, a manual. And I don't know if the second disc is the game also. No, it's the original soundtrack. So what the game is it's like playing Legend of Zelda. Well, the game is set up a little bit like Legend of Zelda, where it's like a top-down adventure-y type of game. And when you encounter a villain, kind of like what's it called? Typing of the Dead. You have to use the keyboard in order to type out a word or whatever and type out like a sermon or something to exorcise a bad guy. So, yeah, I thought it sounded really interesting. So I picked up the pre-order and it showed up. Didn't pop it in or anything like that. I was like, right off the bat, I was just kind of like, yeah. This is also, I think, the time when I'd gotten my new TV and I couldn't play my Dreamcast because I didn't have a VGA port on the television. So I didn't get a chance to get it. If you're looking to get it, you can get it off the Game Fairy website because I do believe it's still available. So the thing was, I have the game. I think I had it for like 3 months. And then I get this random email from Game Fair, and they're like, hey, we're doing a disc replacement. Turns out that there was like some massive glitch that like breaks the game out there. So we're going to send out a replacement. Do you want it? And if you do, send us like a response with a picture of your original purchase order, like the receipt thing that you get in the mail or in an email when you purchase the item. So I did. I sent them the email and everything with the picture of the receipt, and they sent me the replacement disc, which came in this branded like slip, and it even says on the back, replacement disc, use the disc labeled exercised version to play. So it has down here exercised version. That means it's been the patched version. Even the disc has it on there. So the disc that's inside the case here is now useless, and I'm supposed to use this in its place. But I keep them separate just because. I'm not going to throw the disc away. It's a collector's item. So really cool idea for a game. I really need to actually, now that tomorrow actually, I'm getting my old Dreamcast fixed so I can put it back into, what is it, RGB mode or whatever it is at Rocket Sauce's house tomorrow night, so I can start using my old Dreamcast and start playing all these hacks and burned games that I have and all that, including this. So that I thought was pretty rad to have in the collection. The Texorcist. Come on, Nintendo, you should be able to read those death metal fonts. The Texorcist. So yeah, look up Game Fairy if you want to get a copy. It's a pretty cool homebrew. I remember when I bought this one, the guy behind the counter like gave me like a thumbs up. Text or cyst. Text. Anyway, so Time Stalkers, one of the few RPGs available on the Dreamcast. I bought this really early on in collecting. I went to the Exchange down the street from me. It was once I discovered that they were there. I've lived in this apartment since 2009, and I didn't realize that these resale shops that were very game heavy, like there's two of them with like one of them is almost walking distance, the other one I have to drive to, but there's two of them, and both of them are pretty awesome within my area. So when I finally discovered after I got back into collecting that they were there, I was hitting them up almost every other week. And I remember I went in there and they had Time Stalkers, and I picked it up. I mean, it looks pretty cool. I remember I tried it out when I first brought it home because the guy behind the counter, when he was ringing me up, looked at this and he was just like, And I kind of went like, what's up? And he's like, if nobody bought this until like if this had been still sitting on the shelf by Friday, I would have bought it. So you're taking a game from me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, no. He's like, if I really wanted it that badly, I would have taken it out of the cabinet and put it behind the counter for me. But he goes, you're fair game, bro. I'm like, okay. And he goes, but I have played this game before. And he goes, you're absolutely going to love it. He goes, it's a fantastic RPG. And I was like, all right. So I got home, tried it out. And yeah, it was kind of cool. Just never sat down and actually put a whole lot of time into it. Probably should maybe add this to my RPGs this year, even though I'm really falling behind on that, guys. It's already March and I've only beat one. The testicles. Got the chesticles? What are you talking about? You need that game. Ever went to MagFest? No, I've never been to MagFest. The only conventions, video game-wise, that I've been to are the Midwest Gaming Classic, because it's about an hour away from me, and the Mo Game Con, which is in Missouri, which is where I meet up with Peter from Waves and Games and Captain Algebra and Do You Nerd and 8-Bit Glitch. What's up, VGM? My second favorite console of all time, bro. Could give a crap about this game too. I don't care. This is just another licensed piece of crap. But TNN Motorsport Hardcore Heat, yay! Another one that I had to have just to complete the whole set. So yippee skippy. Maybe it's fun. I don't know, but I'm not in a rush to find out. Yay! 13 Sentinels. Yep, 13 Sentinels. I do own. I need to play that. I farted. Again. I made a poot. Anyway, so more racing games, everyone. We've got the Tokyo Extreme Racer series, which I think continued on the PlayStation 2. So, yeah, the first one I hear is actually not too shabby, but it is kind of like just street racing. And I think the PlayStation 2 version is the one that I've been watching Woo Chunk on Twitch stream. He's been streaming it for like 6 months. And he has this really cool setup where you type in the name of a song, or you get the link of a song from YouTube and post it in his chat, and it adds it to like a playlist that he listens to while he's racing, which is kind of rad. But I guess it was so popular that we got a sequel. Yeah, they look so great. Yay, I got these actually pretty early on in collecting for the console. Got them at the same time and a lot. So, yeah, I farted. Fart Fest 2023. Yep. I made a poot. It's like, hey, guys. If I can only still do the voice of, what was his name? From Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the bug. Hey, yo! That guy. I cannot remember what his name was. Ah, shit. Well, there was the guy that looked like a mantis, and then there was the guy with the big underbite. And he would be like, hey, yo! Like, woo! What died in here? Now we've got 2 very mediocre games. Actually, not mediocre. Actually, like below mediocre games in the Tomb Raider series. We've got Tomb Raider Chronicles and Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. The Last Revelation is actually Tomb Raider 4, and Chronicles is Tomb Raider 5. And if I remember correctly, the reason this was called The Last Revelation is because like Lara dies at the end of it or something, and it kind of ended the franchise. But then I guess it made a lot of money, so they did Chronicles, which I do believe is a prequel to the franchise. Yeah, her legacy lives on. So I have not played much of this. Like I said in the PlayStation 1 streams, I thought the first one was okay. I loved part 2. Part 3 was the one where I was like, this is so samey and just boring that I lost interest in the franchise like within the space of 2 hours of playing part 3. And I never went back. So I never played either of these, either on the PlayStation 1 or the Dreamcast. I never owned them before. I've only owned them nowadays collecting for this console. No! Damn it. I just dropped Chronicles. Get your ass over here, mofo. I'm sure my landlord downstairs is like, the fuck kind of crack is that idiot smoking? The one on PS2 Midway Collections. Brack! That was his name, Brack. Yep. Hey, yo! Yeah, he sounded like an old man. And I used to have the Space Ghost Coast to Coast CD, and it had like a lot of sketches and stuff, and one of them was like Space Ghost going like, who made a Fluffy? And it's him and the Mantis guy going back and forth about how it wasn't either of them. And then Brack walks in the room at the very end of the sketch, and you hear him go, woo-wee, what died in here? Yeah, but like I said, these are just more of the same of what the original Tomb Raiders were, but they were just cranking these out like every year. It was kind of like Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty games. Every year we were getting a new Tomb Raider game, and it was like, they can't be good at that point, you know? Like, you need to put some more thought into it. And then they kind of like did the Angel of Darkness, and that basically killed the franchise because it was awful. But when they rebooted it with Legacy, that was when I got interested again, because I played a demo of Legacy from some magazine, and I was like, now this is awesome. And I bought Legacy on day one, and I'll talk about that when I get to it in the other console video. San Francisco Rush was in the Midway Collections. Oh, it was, yeah. The ones that came out for the PS2 and the PS and the Xbox, the original Xbox, yeah, I do believe at least 2049 is, I think, original San Francisco Rush, but I don't think Rush the Rock is on them. Was it the Dreamcast port? Yeah, I think it was 2049. I know that much. So here we got another double hit. We got the Tom Clancy Rainbow Six games. Not a fan of these either, even though I love first-person shooters. We got the original Rainbow Six, which I do believe was a PC game, and it got ported to the Dreamcast. And it's like a first-person shooter, but it's like tactical strategy, squad combat kind of thing, where you basically play like the commander, and you tell your guys what to do, and then you can switch over to those guys and make sure they're in their positions. and then execute the plan kind of thing, and you have to constantly do that kind of thing. I do believe it has a multiplayer mode too, but I could be wrong. Whatever. Never really big on it. I remember I watched one of my friends play it for a little while, and I was just like, so I didn't care. This the sequel, Rogue Spear, I got at a friggin' Goodwill of all places. I've been watching Retro Liberty go to Goodwills and Salvation Armies and stuff and pick up all these awesome things, and I never found much of anything there. I think the only things I've ever found there were a couple of PlayStation 2 games, a couple of Xbox games, this, and a PlayStation 1 game. And that's it. I think I paid $2 for this, and it's just more of the same. It's just now you've got a whole bunch of new missions to go on, and everything's been improved just slightly over what the last game was. You did miss the S's, bro. You did. Works best as a multiplayer experience. That's what I thought. It's more of a PC game than than something you would see on the Dreamcast. And a lot of the times I never thought that those games should have been ported to a home console anyway, because sometimes it just doesn't work out. You've got an entire keyboard to work with and a mouse, and sometimes it just does not translate. Yeah, don't touch me. I still quote that. I like beans. Woo woo woo. I like beans. How about you? It's worth $12 now. Ooh boy. Peter, you're gonna have a little mini-gasm right now, but we got the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. My preferred versions of these games, by the way. Don't get me wrong, I had the original, and I do believe Part 2 on the PlayStation 1. But, man, they did a number on these graphically. They look so much better as far as I'm concerned. But it's not like when I say skateboarding game, I automatically think of like Skate or Die, where it's just a bunch of stupid mini games and stuff like that. No, these games were awesome because like you're in an arena and you have all these different like tasks to do and like goals that you need to do, like collect the word skate. There's letters for the word skate hidden all over the level. Do certain tricks, get certain heights. Do the like grind for so long and get all these achievements kind of things in order to go on to the next level. You had to finish so many of those goals in order to move on. And the levels will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Plus, you're just skating up ramps and anything that's in sight, and it's pretty awesome and fun. I wasted so much time playing these games back in the day, but I was happy that I did because they are so much fun. I love the soundtracks too. I'm not much into like punk and like the alternative stuff that was on these games, but like it fit like a glove, I swear. But I remember I never was really into skateboarding. I had my friend Charlie, who has been in the streams a few times. His name's Epic Die Studio. He was a huge skater, and when I met him in junior high, he had a skate ramp in his basement. And I had a video camera. We made little stupid skateboarding movies. He's doing like ramp tricks and spinning in place and all this crazy stuff. And there's just me going back and forth, get to a wall, push off from the wall, go in the opposite direction in a straight line. I sucked, but I kind of got into the skateboard culture through him, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I knew of Tony Hawk, I knew of Natus and stuff like that, and other skateboarders. I knew the lingo, so it was kind of cool to actually see what they were pulled off in the game, which is kind of cool. And the second one is even better. There's an even better version of this. I think it's on the Xbox. Was it 2X? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X or something. But I love these games until Part 5 ruined it. Absolutely love it. Second game were freaking amazing. Hell yeah. Frame rate resolution was the best on the Dreamcast. Yep, I remember those being... Like, I played them on the PlayStation 1, but when I played those, I was like, oh my God. Like... OG Xbox. I think I have that one. I can't be positive. I know I've seen it. I don't know if I don't think I actually do have it. I know maybe that's what I should do at the convention this weekend is look for all these Tony Hawk games that I don't have, because I know I don't have I know I don't have 3. I think I do have 4. I need to get that. What was that? Proving Grounds or something, Peter, you were always talking about that you said was pretty awesome. Or is it American Wasteland or something? There's a couple of the later ones that I don't have. But I think this was a launch game. I do believe I pre-ordered this, and that is Toy Commander. I thought the idea behind this was kind of cool, where it's like Toy Story. You're like in a kid's room, and you have these different vehicles that you can control, and like you're flying as a helicopter through like a kid's room, and I can't remember what the point was, honestly. It's been so long. 35 different vehicles, 50 missions with multiple objectives, deathmatch mode, so it's got the multiplayer component, full immersion. Awesome. I just remember playing as like the helicopter and like flying through the kids' room, and then I was a Jeep driving around on the floor. I remember being pretty awesome. I need to try it out again. It's been so long since I played this, because I probably haven't played this since I got my Dreamcast back in the day, so probably since 2000 maybe. But I want to say this is still my original copy of the game. I want to say Underground and American Wasteland. I think that was the one. Yeah, I have the remake of 1 and 2. I have it for the PS4. I still need to try that out. I could give a crap about this. I like the license just fine. But like I talked about, I think in the first stream, there was another game that I have based on one of the characters from this that I think is pretty shitty. And that's Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. Why are all these Toy Story games always focusing on Buzz Lightyear? Because the other game I have from this series is the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, and that was pretty shitty. This is just another 3D platformer license game, and this one is not fun either. It's just very generic. It's like very sad that you can take this really cool idea and just turn it into garbage. Might as well have made a kart racing game while they were at it. Anyway. My chair is squeaking like you would not believe. Because my fat ass is on it. That's why. Okay. Next up we have... I picked this one up also at that exchange place I was talking about down the street. It's Trick Style. I do believe this also was available on the PlayStation 1. That was the other thing that kind of cheesed me about some of the games for the console was it got a lot of PS1 ports, and usually they were not that different, like graphically or anything like that, control-wise, like optimized for the Dreamcast. It just felt like a cheap, like cash-in. Like, oh yeah, we made it here. We made it for this console. Let's just, just port it over. Let's not do anything. Let's just change the code, put it over there. And it's like a skateboarding game, but like hoverboards. So if you like Back to the Future 2, you're going to love this. But if I remember correctly, it's not that great. Not that great at all. Fat ass, that's why. Okay, so we've been talking about it at the beginning, when the first stream of this console, I was talking about the keyboard controller that I have, and then that Texorcist. Got to talk about Typing of the Dead, guys. This game is like another thing where I was saying that Sega in this period was like just being really experimental and just trying to put out cool, creative things to set themselves apart from everybody else. So you take House of the Dead, you take out the guns and substitute them for a computer keyboard. And you kill the bad guys by typing out words that are printed on across their chest. And you will see your characters, which in House of the Dead were normally running around with guns in their hand, now running around with like these keyboards sticking out of their chest, being held in place by these straps that go over their shoulders. So they have keyboards like hanging out in their middle of their chest so they can type and destroy the zombies that are coming after them. So like you'll go into a room and you'll see 3 zombies. One will say like pheasant across his chest. The other one will say party. And then the other one will say like, Bangladesh. And you have to type those things out as fast as you possibly can with correct pronunciation or correct capitalization and punctuation, if there is any, to actually pull it off. And you'll get graded on how fast and accurate you are. It's a weird idea, but it works. And it is super fun. And it requires the use of the keyboard controller. Oh my God, I never thought in a million years this would be something that I was like playing for hours and hours and hours. It is so much fun. And you know what? If you're trying to speed up your typing, get better at it, get some practice in, this is a game to do it because it requires speed and accuracy. So I highly recommend it. If you have the keyboard and you have a Dreamcast, get this game. It is super interesting. Not interesting, but it's super like odd. And well, yeah, it is interesting because it's so odd, but it's fun. And that's the best part. Another game that completely surprised me because I remember hearing about that back in the day and going like, no, I will not be giving that game any money. Sega, what the hell is wrong with you? Mondane, what's up? The backpacks are Dreamcast. Yes, I remember that. 11 people watching. Give Chris a like. Yeah, please give me a like. It helps out. Cybernator port, $25. Yeah. Oh shit. Well, I need to replace this case too because this just fell apart when I picked it up. So this is one that I did have back in the day, and I played it for I want to say like a good week and a half, but the difficulty like ramped really quickly, and it has like a weird learning curve that I just couldn't get into, and I just kind of like went, eh. But I had friends who were like obsessed with this game. My buddy Josh, who I used to do that Toasty show with on YouTube, he was like obsessed. He said he was playing this game for like 6 months or whatever. We're talking Ultimate Fighting Championship. So I was looking for a new fighting game to play, like something different from just a standard one-on-one 2D fighting game. And this was not exactly a wrestling game, not exactly a fighting game. It was like somewhere in between. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. Has like a sim thing to it, kind of, where you have to like train your characters in specific ways. You pick like the fighting style you want to do. Like, is it grappling? Is it like the judo kind of thing? And then you have to like properly train your character in order to get them to the top echelon, so they can win the title. And like for the first like week, I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. It was simmy in a fun way, and I was doing the training stuff and like doing the actual fights, and I was winning, and it was pretty cool. And then like out of nowhere, it was like the difficulty just went through the roof, and I could not advance at all. And I just kind of lost interest in it. And then talking with my buddy Josh like years down the line, and he's like, yeah, you really have to just pay attention to how you're training your character to kind of like go with the way that people you're going to be fighting. Like you get stats on the characters, and you need to like train your character in specific ways to deal with them. And I was like, I was just training my one character one specific way instead of adapting. He's like, no, it's all about adapting. I'm like, all right, fine. But it was fun while it lasted. I should probably give it a try again and try to listen to what Josh was telling me. But it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed it. And apparently this has music from Megadeth. Be yourself, but who's buying? Cybernator port, yeah. Even the strategy guide is game translated. Pictures, artwork, manuals. Nice. Have you played Front Mission Gun Hazard? That's the one that I need. Maybe I'll look for that this weekend. That's the one that's the run and gun, right? Jason from Corpse Flood played through that, and he was like, dude, it is awesome. Next up, we have another one-on-one shooter. First-person shooter. It's Unreal Tournament. This one is basically all about multiplayer, but it does have a one-player mode. It's not that great. This one, I do remember being on the PC, and it had a lot of support on the PC, but not on the Dreamcast because no one I know played this at all. So like I said, one-on-one. I keep calling it a one-on-one fighting game. First-person shooter. Use your brain. First-person shooter, but like I said, it specifically focuses a lot on multiplayer. So I had to have it for the collection, and it's not the greatest, but whatever. I actually found that was one of the games I needed that I got later in collecting. I got that maybe 2 years ago when I went to Wisconsin with Rocket Sauce, and we went to that Freak Toys place that I'm probably going to tomorrow. That's in Sheboygan. And I remember walking in there with him, and like they had all these Dreamcast games that I never see, in the wild that I have to get off of eBay. And I was just like, oh shit, I need a couple of these. This is awesome. Don't have to go to eBay and pay fees. This one I think is also a port from the PlayStation 1, and that is Urban Chaos. This is a beat 'em up. I picked this one up at the Game Dude in California when I was visiting my brother. It's a 3D beat 'em up where you're playing as like a cop, if I remember correctly, and you're just beating up criminals and like gang members and crap. I remember it not being that great because I remember I tried it once I got home from LA. I was like, all right. not Streets of Rage. Yay. Next up, oh God. I thought this was going to be fun. I really did. But this one is Vanishing Point. It's a racing game. So there's a movie that I think it came out in the 70s called Vanishing Point that was about cars and racing and all that kind of stuff. And I remember that movie being kind of cool. So I thought that this was kind of not like a licensed game, but it was being named that to like make you recall that. And I was like, this might be pretty neat. And you look at the back, and it's like a lot of like actiony stuff going on. Like you got a car spinning out up here. You got your car's gonna drive inside of a tractor trailer. No, you got a speedy looking like missile car down here. You got one car jumping through the air. No, this is one of the worst racing games I've ever played. It is like not fun. It's like broken. And it's like all false advertising. It is terrible. It's just like Acclaim might as well have released this like the sound. What is it? The LJN game that I talked about last week. I can't even call it Sound of something. Spirit of 79 or Spirit of 69 or whatever it was, that piece of crap. They should have put LJN on across this too, because it might as well be attached to that. It's just that bad. Never mind. Yeah, don't say it because it'll happen. This was my jam, bros. This was my jam. Vigilante 8 Second Defense. So one thing was very lacking on this console was car combat or vehicular combat, like Twisted Metal style games. The original Vigilante 8 came out on the PlayStation 1, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. Wasn't as good as Twisted Metal 1 or 2, but it was pretty goddamn good. So I was super excited about Part 2 coming out on the Dreamcast. And it is pretty fun. I like it a lot. It's just as good as the first, if not maybe slightly better. Most of the same characters came back, kind of like Twisted Metal with a few new ones. But if you love vehicular combat, car combat, this is amazing. Amazing. I loves it. And then we've got that shitty Star Wars Demolition game, which, Joel, just for you, I'm going to start putting them down here. It was also on N64. Yeah, I remember that. Physical is on Amazon Front Mission Remake. Nice. This one is still sealed. I don't care. I will probably never play it. Virtua Athlete 2000. If I saw this on the shelf, like you would talk about shovelware, that is the cheapest, laziest cover art ever, including the name. But this is just like an Olympic style game, the world's greatest athletes kind of thing. I could give two squirts about this. It looks like shit. It only has 7 events in it. The Sydney 2000 had way more than that. 7 events. Doesn't even tell you what they are. That's fantastic. I see like hurdles. I see javelin. I see high jump, and I see long jump and high jump. So it's just basically track and field. Yay. Yeah, that art. I'm not surprised if this if you look it up, I would not be surprised if this did not sell. This also, I do believe, was a launch game, and I pre-ordered it. That's Virtua Fighter 3 TB. I forgot what the TB is. Team Battle. Yeah, it's like an update to Virtua Fighter 3. And it's not bad. I remember, playing it back in the day, but I did enjoy Soul Calibur way more. Way more. I used to be a big Virtua Fighter fan because when Virtua Fighter first came out in the arcade, you weren't seeing polygons all the time like that in the arcade. It was kind of a new thing, so it was pretty cool, even though their jumps were all floaty and sometimes the controls didn't respond right away. But like the series got way better as it went. But this one, I remember being like, okay, but Soul Calibur just blew it out of the water in every way possible. Tuberculose is very moist, giving 2 squirts. That's what I do. Next up we have, a lot of people go by Cyber Troopers, but I go by Virtual On. Virtual On or Oratorio Tangram. What the hell And it's weird because didn't this used to be a Sega franchise, and then for some reason Activision released this? Did they license it from Sega? Because I have a Virtual Fighter game on the PlayStation 2 that I do believe is from Activision as well, which is strange. But whatever. If you ever played a Virtual Fighter or a Virtual On game before, it's giant mechs that you control with like the two joysticks, you know, for turning and all that. In the arcades, at least, you had a controller like that for use on the Saturn. I don't think we had them on the Dreamcast, though. But it's just two giant mechs, one-on-one fighting game. You got projectiles and all that kind of stuff, punches, and a whole bunch of different robots to choose from. And it's really fun. I remember playing the arcade game of the original. I don't know if this ever was an arcade game. I played the crap out of the original in the arcade, and my buddy Justin actually has the two controllers, or the controllers for the Saturn version. I've been trying to get him to sell them to me, but he won't. Titties bouncing. You talking about my titties? Now we have this. I found this actually at the Midwest Gaming Classic in 2019, I do believe, because I remember I picked this up when Megadan was talking to me. Oh, the Saturn. Oh, ooh. Mondane, you are an enabler. You are an enabler. Anyway, Virtua Striker 2. I do believe this is an arcade game based on soccer that got a port to the Dreamcast, but I don't care about soccer. I had to have this to finish out the collection, so yay. But this is the only Dreamcast game I think I've ever found that I needed to add to the collection to complete it at Midwest Gaming Classic. That wasn't like an aftermarket game. Only one I've ever found. You would think that you'd go to like the sellers and they'd have all the shovelware and the cheap ass crap, and they're trying to get rid of it and unload it at the convention. No, they bring all the expensive stuff. TB, tickled buttholes. What the hell? Like $90? God damn. But here's the arcade version of Arcade Tennis. Perfect arcade port. It's fantastic. I play this all the time in the arcade, like I said. Super fun arcadey tennis game. Sega was doing some really cool stuff with like the arcadey sports games to keep them fun and not just simmy and boring. But I absolutely love Virtual Tennis. That's the second time I've had to buy that game because I had the Player's Choice, or whatever the greatest hits versions were. So to finish it off the collection, I wanted to get rid of the greatest hits version or whatever and get the standard labeled one. Virtual Tennis is even more fun with the fishing rod. Jim Courier. I don't remember the names of the characters or the players in there. So TJ might remember this. I bought it when I was hanging out with him and Captain Algebra and Rocket Sauce back in, I think it was September, when we went game hunting through Wisconsin. I picked this up at the pad along with a bunch of other aftermarket games that I found there. We're talking Volgar the Viking. Another one of those Josh Prod games. And this one is a side-scrolling platformer kind of hack and slash kind of deal. I have not played it yet. It's still sealed. But I remember hearing really good things about this one. So when I saw it there with the other aftermarket games, I had to pick it up because who knows if these are still going to be available or how long they will be available. So get them while you can. I farted again. That's what happens when you eat Arby's. Final Lap Twin Racing RPG. Yeah, I had Final Lap Twin. There is the RPG tennis game for the Saturn. I have it. World Court Tennis. The tennis RPG. Volgar. Arby's rules, gas included. It was delicious. I love me a good beef and cheddar. Does not do... oh, my belt. Wow, coming out both ends. Fantastic. Bodes well for the weekend. Be ready, TJ. Here is not a very good kart racer. We've got Wacky Races. This is all about, what is it, Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Because I think Cartoon Network owned all the Hanna-Barbera stuff. I picked this one up at Game Dude. And yeah, it's a kart racing game. Yay. Not that great. Can't recommend. Cannot. Is Grape Ape in this? I wish I told you who was in there. Based on the original Hanna-Barbera cartoon, Wacky Races. I remember Wacky Races was the cartoon, but this is just like the kart racing version. Penelope Pitstop, Dick Dastardly, Muttley. I cannot read this. The font is so shitty. Whatever. But you can see it just looks like a generic kart game. Yay. No, TurboGrafx 16. They were just talking about Final Lap Twin on the TurboGrafx, and I was like, oh, there's that tennis one too. World Court Tennis. This, on the other hand, okay, here's another kart racing game, and this is the one that my ex was hyping up like you would not believe. So I've talked about it a lot. There was the my old retro game store. It was called People Play Games. When I was dating, my ex and I went to look around. It was, I think, right before I got back into collecting. We went there because we drove past and I was like, oh, I've always wanted to check that place out. I think it was the first time I ever went to People Play Games. And we're walking around and I picked up a Tron game on the television because I was like, ooh, Tron, I need to collect all the Tron things. And I was like, I'm surprised I found this here. And it was still in the box and all that. I'm like, that's awesome. And she found this, but for the PlayStation 1, and she begged me to buy it for her. So I did. And she told me the entire drive back to drop her off at her place that it's the greatest kart racing game ever. She thinks it's better than Mario Kart. It's amazing. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I got back into collecting, and I found out that the same game was available on the Dreamcast. So I'm like, hey, I'll surprise her next time she comes over to hang out and whatever. I could be like, hey, let's play some video games, and I'll pop this in, and we can play this upgraded version, hopefully. And sure enough, it was. When you play it through VGA, it looked amazing. Sadly, it's a piece of shit. And I had to call her on it when we played it because I legit fell asleep playing this game with her playing against me. That is Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour. This game is hot garbage. Hot garbage. She was a huge Disney fan. I'm pretty sure she still is. She was a huge Disney fan, so she absolutely loved it. And I think that just put this pair of glasses on her face that made her see things a specific way that I could not. And I remember when I finally played this with her that one time, and I legit fell asleep, and she was like, "Why are you driving into a wall?" I remember waking up and looking at her, going "Oh, I'm sorry." And she's like, "Were you asleep?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Turn it off. Just turn it off." I disappointed her so much. But I told her, I'm like, the game is not good. How can you say this is better than Mario Kart? I'm like, I just gotten into Mario Kart 2. Finally discovered it after all these years. I was like, I've been playing Mario Kart on the Wii. There is no way in hell you're telling me that this is better than that. And she was just like, it's amazing. I'm like, no, it's not. Sorry. But it played like crap. The arenas the graphics are just garbage. You have all the recognizable Disney characters to play as, but who cares? The arenas or the tracks are garbage. The cars are garbage. The graphics, the sound, everything is garbage. It sucked. I hated every minute of it. The controls were terrible. And then we broke up. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, all the kart races on Dreamcast are pretty horrible. I will agree. Rose-tinted glasses. Well, it's not that. It was just Disney is her favorite thing in the world. So if it has the Disney license on it, it's amazing. There's nothing you can tell her that is going to tell her. There's nothing you can say to her that will make her think it's bad. And that was the case because I played it and I had no expectations and I was like, this is shit. I'm like, this is absolute shit. I don't see how you can say this is better than Mario Kart at all. How come that? And she loved Mario Kart. Diddy Kong is 10 times the game that is. These aren't exactly games. This is what you needed in order to surf the internet. So I had to have both of these because they are part of the complete collection. So you got the Sega Dreamcast web browser, which came with your Dreamcast when you bought it. You absolutely had to have this disc in the console when you were surfing the internet to get it to work, to connect. Yay. And I do believe this has Sega Swirl on it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I had to get a WorldNet account just so I could use it. And then eventually they released an upgraded version. So there's Web Browser 2.0. This is the one with Sega Swirl. Yep, Sega Swirl included. So it's just an upgraded disc or an upgraded program for SegaNet, optimized for... I think this was because of the multiplayer games that were coming out. This made it easier or optimized for multiplayer games. But I used to surf the web all the time on my Dreamcast. I didn't have a computer until 2002. So that was the way I surfed the web, was through my Dreamcast. Yeah, my Sega, my 2.0 is still sealed. No, we did not break up over video games. I'm saying, I just remember, like, I want to say, like, maybe 6 months later we broke up. It didn't have anything to do with it. There's a web browser 3.0 in Japan. Well, they had the Dreamcast a hell of a lot longer than we did, so that makes sense. Came with what's the BBA? The Big Butt Association? I don't know. Here's another one that I have sealed. I haven't played it yet. Did not play this one back in the day, but Wet Tricks Plus. I do believe this is the one where you have a certain amount of water that you need to fill up an area with, and you need to, like, you have like a plane of land, and you need to like dig holes in it and like change the topography in order to fit the water in or whatever. But I have not played it, so I cannot comment. Sounds interesting. I probably should play it because I love, like, what was it, Tetrisphere I was talking about on the Nintendo 64? That was a really cool twist on the Tetris formula. Maybe give this one a try, see what's up. Big booty attack, big bang, big booty assault. The broadband adapter. Ah, British broadcasting ass. This is a gigantic piece of shit. This was one of the ones I kept putting off buying because I knew it was going to be garbage. And guess what? It was. I have never heard of a company that made this, and I don't think they existed afterwards either, but I wish I could read it to you because it's so tiny. Who wants to beat up a millionaire? Do I have to talk about it? Really? Do I? Yay. Tetrisphere is awesome. I do believe this is a... Is this a... what I think it is? No, this is just like a combat game. Okay. Wild Metal, which has the nice and shiny title. So, yeah, this is like a tank game. Have not played it. It's by Rockstar, though. See it down there, so maybe I should give it a shot, see if it's any good. Probably can't play it, though. I don't think it has... Yeah, this does not do VGA, so I can't play it right now. But, yeah, it looks kind of cool, I guess. Just another tank combat game. Yay, yay, yay. Fucking gem of a cover, I know, right? Here is another aftermarket game. I haven't played it yet. It's still sealed. It's Wolf Flame. This is the one that I almost bought at MGC in 2021 when it was in November, and there was nobody there. That was the deadest I've ever seen the Midwest Gaming Classic. But then again, it was coming right off of COVID, so to be expected. And then a few months later, it exploded. Like the MGC exploded, and you couldn't even get in the frickin' front door. That was weird. But I almost bought this at Midwest Gaming Classic. I went to the table for, what was it, Pixel Heart? They had a table there. They had all this aftermarket Dreamcast stuff. I did buy a couple of things there, like that Redux that I showed you last week that was in a DVD case, and something else, some other shooter. I think it was Armored 9 or Armored 6. Armed 6, I think it was. And I almost picked this one up, but I picked Armed 6 instead. And so the thing was, I had totally forgotten that I had pre-ordered this from the Pixel Heart website, along with, well, not pre-ordered, but just ordered this with a couple of other things that I ended up pre-ordering, like Wallachia for the PlayStation 4 and that Rainbow Bright NES game. And because I ordered all these things at the same time, the whole order got delayed until the pre-ordered stuff was available. I think the one that took the longest was Wallachia. So this was like in a holding pattern for almost like 9-10 months. And I totally forgot that I ordered it. So when I went to the MGC and I saw it on the table, I was like, yeah, aftermarket games, let's do it. And then I unconsciously or subconsciously, I was like, no, I'm going to put this one back and grab this other one. And I'm glad that I did, because I would have had 2 copies of this. Because, like, I want to say, like, 2 or 3 months after the convention, this showed up in the mail, and I was like, that was the one I almost picked up at MGC. Oh, my God, I dodged that bullet. But this is a vertically scrolling shmup that looked pretty awesome, so I bought it. Obviously, it's in my hand. Still need to play it, though. Next up, we have these, which I could give 2 squirts about. Did it again, guys. It's my phrase of the night. World Series Baseball 2K1 and World Series Baseball 2K2. We never got a 2K. Surprisingly, they skipped the original year for some reason. Maybe they just couldn't get the license for MLB or whatever. But, yeah, Sega Sports, baseball. Yay. I do not like baseball. The only way I will watch baseball is if I'm actually at the stadium. That's fun. Watching it on TV, it is like snooze fest for me. Wolf Flame. God damn it, Joel. This was this one? No, it was this. Yeah, it was this one that killed my multiplayer party that I had for my birthday right after we broke up. So it was probably 2015. I want to say. Yeah, I had a party where I had all these multiplayer games played, and it was we played Slave Zero, and that was like the one where everyone was just like, no, change it, because Slave Zero it chugged at like 3 frames a second when you're playing it 4-player. So we switched over to Worms Armageddon, which was okay, but the thing is, you've got a Dreamcast, and it has 4 controller ports on the front. So you figure you plug 4 controllers in the front, each person playing gets their own controller. Now with this game, you plug 1 controller in and you pass it to the next person whenever it's their turn. And for some reason, that was the thing that just sent everyone over the edge. And we're like, you know what, let's just play Smash Brothers instead. So this game completely killed my retro multiplayer birthday, and we ended up playing nothing but modern-day multiplayer stuff instead. But Worms Armageddon and Worms World Party are ports of PC games where it is multiplayer, but you can play it single player, where you have like an army of little worms and they have like this big ass arsenal of weapons at their disposal. And your whole idea is take out the other player or the other team by any means necessary. And as you blow up the level that you're on, like you start creating these like valleys, then you can eventually just make people fall off the map instead of just actually straight up shooting them and killing them. Rockets, and there's like, you have to worry about like the air speed and the direction the air is going in order to get the rockets to work right. Because if you think you're just going to shoot this rocket in some perfect arc to this character that's on the other side of the screen, nope. It'll get up in the air, and then the wind will hit, and it'll just go and go in the opposite direction. It's really fun. There's a lot of strategy involved. It's pretty cool. It's funny as hell, too, because the worms have these cutesy little voices. And there's one move you can do that is basically a Shoryuken uppercut. And you actually make like a kind of sound when you do it. Super fun games. The franchise has been going on for a while. It still is. I have one for the Switch, but these have always been favorites of mine. I love the Worms series, so I had to have those. And they're by Team 17. Probably the only games released by Titus that were worth a damn. There's only one F, yeah. It was just weird. Like, that just killed everybody. Yeah, being there with people live, watching the game unfold like that. You know, you've got food, you got beer, you've got, you know, people screaming and hooting and hollering. It's really fun. I like it a lot, but you watch it on TV and it puts me to sleep immediately. The thing is, the last time I went to a baseball game was when Sammy Sosa was still playing for the Cubs, and I watched him throw the game. Like, he was about to, like, leave the Cubs. I watched him literally throw the game. And I've never seen the crowd turn on somebody so fast. He was like the last person up before the game was going to end, and he basically just walked up to the plate and just like put the bat on his shoulder and let the balls go flying by. And then when they're like, strike, 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 and the game ended, everyone was like, fuck you! Oh, man. Good times. Anyway, now we've got the WWF games. I talked about the ECW games. Now we got these. From what I understand, these are fantastic. We got WWF Attitude and WWF Royal Rumble multiplayer games. Everybody I know absolutely loved these. Like, I had friends that had a Nintendo 64, and they absolutely adored the Nintendo 64 wrestling games, to my eternal annoyance, because that's all they ever wanted to frickin' play. And then when the Dreamcast came out and they got the Dreamcast, they switched over to these, and that's all they wanted to talk about from that point on, too. So I remember hearing about these games ad nauseum all the time, but it also kind of made me curious. Never actually got copies of my own until now. But I'm willing to give these a shot because they actually look pretty fun, especially multiplayer. Maybe if these have like the simulation mode where you can just like throw a bunch of characters into a mix and have the computer do the matches and just watch the matches unfold, I would probably stream that like the way Jason of Corpse Flood did a few years ago. He needs to do it again. I actually made like a thumbnail for him to advertise it and everything. It was pretty cool and elaborate, and he never actually went through with it because he doesn't have time. Still living in the Bay Area. So last time I saw a baseball game was, I don't know, 2002 or 3 maybe. I do have Fire Pro Wrestling. I have a repro of one. I have Fire Pro Wrestling D, and that's pretty cool. Getting towards the end, guys. Next up, we've got Extreme Sports Infograms. No, I don't care about this at all. Peter should have this, though. I'm sure he absolutely... Hey, is there a hang gliding movie, Peter? Is there a four-wheeler movie out there we could watch for the podcast? Bungee jumping and sky surfing. Oh, that means we got to watch Point Break, Peter. That is some of those. Bicycling, skydiving, snowboarding. Yay. 2 more. Okay, so this person's going to be at Midwest Gaming Classic tomorrow or this weekend. And I think he got invited to hang out with us, but I doubt he will. Anyway, so he actually had this game made. I guess he saw an ad for the name of this game, a game with this name at some point when he was a kid. And the game never came out. So he made a sequel sort of thing for himself, but I guess he didn't know what the game was supposed to be, so I guess it's like an approximation of what he thought it was going to be. D's nuts. Bisexual cycling, whatever. So that's John Riggs' game, Beavis 2, and this also came out on the NES. I guess it was supposed to be an NES game originally, and it just never came out. So he made this, and he had Mr. Wizard, the guy who makes the repros for the Dreamcast, whip up one for the Dreamcast as well. And it's like a single-screen platform action game, kind of like something you would see in the arcades back in the 80s. And it's just, I appreciate it. Yeah, the Legend of Beavis, Beavis 1. Yeah, long ago, there was a legend of a new video game that had no screenshots, no reviews, no advertisements, nothing. Just a quick blurb in the back of some magazine saying that it was for sale. It was never released. This is the sequel to that mythical game. So I picked it up because I want to support people that I like. So, John Riggs released a game. Yeah, I'll buy it. I really didn't care for it. It's just really repetitive and simple, and it reminds me of like an Atari 2600 game, just with really good graphics, or better graphics, I guess, Nintendo graphics. You play as one of these two ghost guys, and one of them has electricity powers. I never played as the second guy. And there's some enemies that are trying to stop you from getting to I can't remember if you were collecting stuff. It is your quest to banish all the evil in 10 levels. Also, you got to destroy all the bad guys in each stage. And it's okay. It was okay for the first 10 minutes, and then after that, I was just kind of I think I'm done with this, and I'm probably never going to play it again. Not sad that I have it, though. It's cool that John Riggs released an actual game, especially on the Dreamcast. But, yeah. Yeah, there's Drop Zone. I saw Drop Zone in the theater. Swoop! And the final game in my collection, the final game that for my complete set, Zombie Revenge. I think this is supposed to be connected to House of the Dead somehow, but it's a completely different play style. So those are light gun games. This one is like a third-person beat 'em up or kind of fixed camera angle beat 'em up with zombies and stuff. And I remember playing this in the arcade. There was like an arcade that was way north of me in Gurnee, when Gurnee Mills, which was the biggest mall around, they had an arcade in there that had like an ice skating rink. They played ice hockey in there, and they had the arcade cabinet of this. And I remember playing it quite a bit. They also had a laser tag arena in there that I used to play. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's a really awesome like horror beat 'em up by Sega, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the shit out of this. I remember it got a lot of crap when it first came out. If I remember correctly, the reviews for this were pretty bad. I did not care. I absolutely loved it. I played this like you would not believe. And I do believe this is my actual copy that I had back in the 90s, early 2000s. So, yeah. That shows you how much I like it. I didn't want to get rid of it when I sold all my stuff. So, there you guys go. Hose of the Dead. Yeah, it's a spinoff. Yeah, we did get the worst cover. I remember that. Like Dynamite Cop. Yep, you guys are right. I agree. So that's it for the Sega Dreamcast streams. The Sega Dreamcast is done, son. Next week, we'll start on a new console. Probably either the PlayStation 2 or the Game Boy Advance. I have not decided. I need to look at my timeline thing to see when things came out. To see which one came out first. It's probably going to be the PlayStation 2. No, it might be the Game Boy Advance. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. So there will not be anything released tomorrow. No short or anything, because tomorrow I'm heading out to Milwaukee for the Midwest Gaming Classic. I'll be there all weekend. But I will be back on Sunday night for a new stream, and that will be my monthly pickup stream for everything in March. It will be very light on movies. Obviously, we'll be very heavy on games, because it's also going to be everything, or featuring everything that I pick up at the Midwest Gaming Classic this weekend. So be prepared. So Sunday night, April 2nd, probably around 8:30 also, Central. I'll be back with the March recent pickups stream that also contains all my Midwest Gaming Classic pickups. If you did not watch my Dungeons and Dragons stream that we did last weekend on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/theoldassretrogamer. Head on over there. We had an epic 5.5 hours of D&D awesomeness that went way better than I had anticipated. I did not think I was prepared enough. Turns out I was not. I ended up making up half the shit that didn't involve story type stuff off the top of my head. So I guess I'm pretty cool, or I'm pretty good at improv. So I had them going for about 5.5 hours. Yep. And it was awesome. Everyone was like, when we were done, like, we want to play again. When can we play again? Because that was great. So yeah, that's pretty awesome that everyone's enjoying it. So if you want to see those streams, go and check out my Twitch channel. Like I said, twitch.tv/theoldassretrogamer. Eventually, that stream will be available on my YouTube channel. Last Friday, I released episode 3 from my Twitch streams on my YouTube channel. So check that out if you want to catch up on the story. So do that. And like I said, Sunday I'll be back with another stream at 8:30 Central. Hope to see you all there. I will talk to you later. I will see some of you at the convention this weekend. I look forward to it. And if you're going to be there, come and give me look me up, give me a text or something. We'll hook up, see what we'll chit chat and whatnot. I'll talk to you later. Holy cow. Yeah. 5.5 hours. And it went by so fast. Like, it was like that. Time flies when you're having fun, everyone. So talk to you all hopefully on Sunday. Have a good rest of your evening. I'll talk to you then. Chris, the old ass retro gamer, out. Have a good night. Stay safe, everybody.
Hey, this is Nintendo, Joel, and you're watching Chris, the old ass retro gamer. Yeah!